Hello, everybody in Facebook land and everywhere on the internet. I'm Holly Clear, social media advisor, coming to you live today to introduce you to my friend Stephanie. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
What you will notice in the title of this is Stephanie is a personality architect, consultant, speaker, strategist, and writer. What does that look like, Stephanie? What does a personality architect even look like?
So a personality architect is someone who is going to work with individuals, hone and shape those components of their personality. This is not creating a narrative that sounds good to everybody else. It's really speaking to authenticity, okay? And so authenticity is this great word that everybody's using these days, but it is taking a deep dive in and extracting those elements, I say these nuances of personality, so that when we get that right, we can begin to create a true authentic narrative. We're going to be able to create content and messaging that then we weave into our businesses. I often say every market is saturated, but if we get our content and our messaging correct, we'll rise above the fray. And so being a personality architect is helping, holding someone's hand, holding a team's hand so that they get this right, so that people will really listen to what we have to say. Then it's not just verbal and visual noise.
Oh, noise. That's so valuable because online is so saturated with just the noise and the nonsense. And I really, really like that you hone in to the values and personality of oneself in order to bring that out through the whole brand. That's really, really beautiful. And that is actually a technique that is lacking in a lot of brands that are out there, because a brand isn't just a logo. A
No,
brand isn't just a set of colors and fonts.
no.
It really is that whole essence of you. And how can you show up and really deliver if you don't know that true self?
That's right. What's my point of difference? So yes, I work with individuals and teams, um, certainly in this personal space, but also the business brand space. But if we don't know who we are, and we're not really clear about that and grounded in that, then we can't represent ourselves in the way that people will really see it. But it also helps shape confidence and bravery and courage so that we step forward in this really rich way. And then people are leaning in and listening. And it makes it makes a world of difference. It makes all the difference.
Well, especially in this time of pandemic and how do I get myself out there? I talk to people on a daily basis who are like, I just don't know if I should do social media. I don't know if I should even have a website. Well, how in the world are you even going to get your message out there if you don't, one, know yourself, know who your audience is, but even further, having a presence all the way around? You have to have strategy as a whole. Some people like to do a handshake. Well, we're not doing handshakes right now.
Right.
What is it all going to look like? I feel that the story behind everything is so very, very valuable, even in the social media space. And so just to go backwards a little bit, I have a question for you. Uh, if you could be a superhero or you have a spirit animal, what would that be? And what would that look like as far as like your superpower?
Well, I have a superhero that I lean into,
All right.
and that is the goddess Aphrodite.
Mm,
And everyone knows the goddess Aphrodite as the goddess of love,
mm.
which is so very true. But of course, I'm someone who scratches under the surface. And several years ago, I went to Greece with my daughter, and we landed in this really incredible museum. And it really laid out a much bigger picture of Aphrodite. And she is all about creativity. She is all about making connection and relationships. So yes, it's love, but it's taking it to this deeper space. of relationships, meaningful relationships. When you have meaningful relationships, that creates this value. Everything that I'm about. She is about leading through strength, authenticity, acceptance, and love. And when you have those superpowers and you weave that into who you are, or extract that in that same way, that's when you make those connections. So she is my superhero.
Mm.
And that, when we talk about love, when we talk about authenticity, sometimes those words can become really generic. And so it is, okay, so I want to be this authentic person. What does that mean? And I really lean into Aphrodite because she was about all of these layers. And I think not just for women, but also for men who step into their roles, that touching on all those components will make an incredible difference. So that's who I lean into.
Oh, that's so juicy. I love it. I got goosebumps as you're describing it. What a good superhero, superpower. I love that. So tell me, in my environment, people come to me for social media because it's the shiny thing. It's the shiny urgent thing, right? I usually will refer people to someone like you who need to have that foundation first, because you can't tell your story online
No,
without this other component.
that's right.
And so what does that look like? When someone comes to you, what does that experience look like for them?
Okay. So I love that you're bringing this up because a lot of people talk to me about social media as well. And so it's like, I really need to show up, but I don't know how to do it. And I don't know what to say. And I get frozen up. Well, we're frozen in time because we haven't connected with that true, authentic person or space, or your authentic message based on whatever purposeful business that you have created. So the very first thing that I have is a foundations program. And that foundations program is 6 weeks where we're one-on-one. I also do workshops that can be drilled down to is really the terrific space where we're meeting and we're working on things. It's first scratching under the surface individually, okay? And then secondly, so the first 3 weeks is really scratching under that surface, taking a look at our history and sort of labels and different messaging and content that people have put upon us. And it's letting go of those things and creating things that are meaningful for us. And then the second half of that 6 weeks is really drilling into the business standpoint of, okay, so then how do I take this into my business? How do I create taglines? Well, we've begun to craft words and messaging that makes sense for us. And so then when we want to get into that, once we've spent that 3 weeks on ourselves, 3 weeks on our business, then we have this great foundation that we've built. Then we can say, oh my gosh, I have this collective sense of and different buckets of messaging that I can now weave into my social media. And so really, again, that is the foundations of getting yourself out there and creating this consistency, because that's important too. It doesn't mean that it has to be the exact same thing, but it is, again, a foundation that we can draw upon when we're in these different places or we're having these slightly different conversations. But in general, the foundation is there. And when your foundation is there, you're really grounded, you're confident, and you can, what I say at the end of it is you're in a space that we can create this improv conversation that you can just start snapping away because these starting spaces that you're in.
Oh, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like that it's a dedicated 6 weeks because it takes a lot of time to discover and then implement and build a routine around
That's right.
that voice and that message. And that's really, really cool. Perfect. Okay. So working with you in the 6-week program, what are there any other options that people have in working with you long term? Maybe something that's consistently like refreshing, if you will?
Yeah. So the 6-week foundation is really getting comfortable with yourself. Okay. And it is scratching below the surface and letting go of things that really do not serve you and don't belong to you. And then again, as I said, that we start then layering it and taking a look at the business standpoint, your business brand. Okay. Then the second phase is implementation. Now, let me just say, implementation is 3 months, where
Gotcha.
it's every other week. Yeah, two times a month that we're working together every other week. But before we even start, we map out, okay, in this implementation phase, what do you want to work on? And then we pick out these specific things. So it might be 3 months, but I have to say that I do have clients that, they have many things to work on. Okay. And so in which case, but it's just kind of a structured 3 months. What are we going to do with this 3 months? And then there are some individuals that feel like, okay, after this 3 months, I'm really ready to fly. And they're feeling really confident and great. And so that's okay too. And then the third component to my business is working with individuals or businesses that are really ready to go for a fast track. And that is working with them on a month retainer. And it is many times a week where we are working together 2-3 times, where we have live conversations, and then they're off to do homework and I'm doing the homework. And there's that writer component. For me, that has become really helpful, that yes, I'm a personal brand strategist. I'm also the business brand strategist, but I'm also the writer, so that we're working together. And then, I want to make sure that I am pulling out meaningful information from these teams or individuals. But at the end of the day, it needs to be polished, needs to be, shined a bit, so that again, when we put it out there, it's rising above the fray. So that written piece is really helpful.
That's so valuable, especially in the work that I do, because we do a lot of profile building.
Mm-hmm.
And without those components already developed, it's really difficult to come up with the content for the pages, let alone incorporating some SMM, which is social media management optimization, if you will.
Yeah.
And because every word is searchable in Google, every word is also searchable in these platforms. And without those key components, I'm pulling at the strings, trying to come up with content. I see websites that have just minimal information. I started this in 1993, and this is what we do. That doesn't tell us anything about your values, who you work with,
Yeah.
what you stand for, how the customer experience is going to be. All of that has to be pulled initially, because that's what people are looking for.
Yeah. And I will also say there's the generic space that people get really excited about, these buzzwords. And that's a wonderful place to start with. Okay. But if we've got 5 or 6 words that everybody's using, all of a sudden we become really flat.
Yeah.
And we deserve, our worth is so much stronger than that. So it is, okay, we get to that space, and I push on individuals. And sometimes it's tough, it's exasperating, but at the same time, we have to push a little bit to, just encourage something stronger, more robust.
Mm-hmm.
So that's again, that creative written piece, that's really important.
Excellent. Now, talking to yourself, what is a piece of advice that you would give a small business owner or corporation owner, CEO, about what is a lesson that you've learned over time that you wish you would have known early on?
And we only have 10 minutes left. So I'm going to say, over time, what I have learned is, and I want to say in the last 5 or 10 years, I mean, I'm in this space that I have been in the intense corporate space. That's so exciting. I'm very grateful and thankful that it became a very lucrative space for me. But the most important thing is, and it's so simple, it is self-care and it is self-awareness, that we can, because it still happens to me. It happens to me with family. It happens to me with business. And I get really excited about projects. I will get really excited with working with new individuals, these new robust ideas. but we have to be really careful not to give everything,
Hmm.
because we're going to drain ourselves. We're going to shred and drain ourselves. And then our creativity, it fizzles out. And, we've given everything for 90% of the project, and then the last 10% we don't have it. So it's really about, it's about just keeping an eye on that and being the steward of caring for yourself, and stepping back and taking a breath, walking away for a second, taking a breath, and then obviously other self-care elements. I'll say the other thing is constantly evolving ourselves. Now, as I help individuals shape their personal brand and grow their business brand, the thing that's important is, yes, structure and consistency. Okay. But it's also about evolution, that we have to keep our eye on what is happening, particularly in this pandemic space. I think that's why a lot of individuals are nervous and lost, is that, okay, everything just flew away. The ground fell beneath my feet. What do I do?
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm helping individuals to say, okay, first of all, yes, this is tough, but this type of situation has happened before. So let's take a look at how people or companies have dealt with this in history in the past. Let's take a look at these great strategies that are happening now. Let's evolve. So yes, we want to stay consistent in who we are and what we're representing, but we might have to, shift. The word pivot is becoming a little generic, but it is shifting and it is evolving. And so just keeping an eye on that evolution piece.
I love that you pointed that out. I was sitting here very anxious thinking, please don't say pivot. It's
Well,
my least.
I'm going to say pivot, but you also know I'm going to call it generic.
Yes. And I love the word selection that you have. We have to shift our energies. We have to shift our efforts. We have to be conscious of the audience that we're in front of and the needs that they have, and be relevant. There's so many people that I've gotten phone calls from over the last 6 months that are like, I don't know how else to do this in any other way. And you've got to evolve. It's so
Yeah.
crucial right now. It's really good. What's something that you're looking forward to this next quarter in your business?
So this next quarter, I mean, for me, this is a huge opportunity, because as people are feeling lost, I am really feeling like sort of the voice of brand therapy. um, that, look, the answers are all right here. Or I will say a majority of the answers are here, what our offering is, and making sure we get it right. Um, and so for me, again, that's exciting that I have a lot of individuals, a lot of organizations that are leaning to me to have these kind of conversations. And when I have conversations with individuals and signing people up for new programs, it's so exciting to see that, okay, the sun is coming up. It's going to be okay. And that, when we get through these things, it is so liberating, the things that we've learned, the shifts that we had to make. I actually was just speaking to someone a week ago, a woman who's signing up for the foundations program. And she said, look, I knew I needed to make some changes anyway. Now this is the perfect time, because now I'm really going to do it and get it right.
Yes.
So that's something to look forward to. And just being open to, having faith and being open that things are going to get better, and they're going to be slightly different, but it's going to be okay.
It is going to be okay.
Yeah.
And that's so important, to hear and receive it out loud, audibly. Allow yourself to have permission to know that it is going to be okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So what do you have today to offer all the people who could potentially see this? Obviously, I'm going to put your contact information and comments on here and in YouTube and the different channels that I use. What's the next step? How can they reach out to you?
So they can reach out to me in any of my social media channels. Okay. They can reach out on my website, skpersonalityba.com. And, a foundations program is, I've had some people who dive into it and, 100% are there, they're ready for it. And I have some people who are kind of trepidatious and they're like, oh, should I be spending this money? And within 2 weeks, I have individuals saying, I am so glad I did this. And so, but at the same time, I will say people should do it if they're ready to do it. They
Yes.
need to feel good about it and ready to do it. So my offer today is, I'd love to be able to help as many people as I can. And so I'm offering 25% off a foundations program. And then if you also sign up for both the foundations and implementation, there's also an incentive for doing that as well. So, or even just to have a conversation and asking for some advice. I'm very open to share what I can and help in any way that I can.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Stephanie. Wow.
Mhm.
Huge, huge, huge. I'm so glad we got to, I would be challenged to play Scrabble with you because you use a lot of really Scrabble friendly high digit numbered words, and very, very well spoken, very robust. I love that you take the time to really get intimate in the conversation of what the personality of the brand really needs to look like. And folks, if you've not connected to Stephanie, please do so. She's a gem, and her services are extraordinarily valuable. And it's not just putting together, like I said at the beginning, a logo or a brand image. It's getting to the essence of your soul and who you are, how you should step forward, and delivering that message throughout your personal life as well as your business. Thank you, Stephanie. You truly do know how to be awesome in all things business.
Thank you,
And
Holly. And I
thank
will
you
just
so much.
say, I do love Scrabble, and I'm a little competitive when it comes to Scrabble.
Oh, game on. Well, I tell you what, when I'm meeting in person, then we will totally, I will bring the
We'll
Scrabble
take it down.
board. Excellent. Thank you, Stephanie, for your time today. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, friends, for watching, and those who will watch later. Please remember to hashtag replay, comment below, ask questions. I'll tag Stephanie, and let's be awesome in all things. Thanks, friends.
Thank you.